in the World Rally Championship in 2000. Let's hope he goes okay.
Bobby Willis replacing Derek Ringer alongside Katsu Taguchi. Bobby's from Ireland, and this is the man who battled with Possum Bourne for much of the Asia Pacific Championship until Possum wrapped it up. So we've seen Katsu in action before. He was here for Rally of Canberra. Great competitor, great character, and a great performance. 12th overall in Telstra Rally Australia. He trails Neil Bates by 4 minutes 39 seconds, so he's not going to threaten Neil's position, but he'll entertain us here this afternoon, Derek.
Yes, Katsu's a young driver with quite a lot of talent. He's been pushed from Japan, and hopefully we'll get a nicer program for him next year, a few more World Rallies, and he can really show us what he can do.
Katsu Taguchi now away in the Mitsubishi Lancer. Second in Rally of Canberra. As Derek says, a very, very good little driver. If he gets a few more kilometres under his belt, perhaps in the Asia Pacific Championship next year, a couple of the World Rally Championships, maybe even the Australian Rally Championship next year, hopefully with Derek Ringer alongside him, it will be sensational.
Derek, you might like to take us through just what the co-driver does contribute on this final stage.
Well, most of this stage has been used before, and most of the drivers know it very well. The co-driver's obviously reading the notes, and when the car gets to the top before the jump, then the co-driver will squeeze right down into the bottom of his seat and just read as quick as he can. Really, this is a sprint stage, and there's nothing about pace that the co-driver can contribute here.
Sensational stuff at the Michelin halfway point. 51.11 seconds, as you can see, for Katsu Taguchi. That makes him 1.62 seconds faster on this stage.
And that massive bank of loose dirt and gravel there, you wouldn't want to get your drive bogged down in that, John, as you try to exit that corner, or you lose a heck of a lot of traction.
Bill, there's a hazard just back up the road from here that you don't see on camera, and that is a big ditch on the side of the road as Katsu launches over the jumps. Oh, big one from Katsu.
Not the best of landings either, which is why Derek said you've got to squat down in that seat if you're in the passenger side.
Keep in mind the suspension uprights on these cars are just so strong that the drivers now can afford to just charge the scenery, and that's what Katsu did.
We saw Trellis come in very tight on that water clearance, and Katsu went right through the middle of it, but still good enough to be fastest so far. 1.75 inside the previous best for Katsu Taguchi of Japan. Next up, we'll have Neil Bates on the start line, a very, very popular driver, and it's wonderful just to have Neil finishing this rally, John Smales.
It certainly is, Bill, as we see Katsu Taguchi now pulls down the window.
Mark Osler's on the start line. We'll have a chat with him in just a moment as Neil Bates and Coral Taylor get set. Mark.
Yeah, isn't it fantastic to see the performance of these two? It just goes to show when you go to an Australian Rally Championship round anywhere in this country, you are seeing absolutely world-class performances, not only from Neil Bates, but from New Zealander Possum Bourne. Fantastic performance. Neil Bates only 1 minute and 7 seconds behind the leader, Tommi Makinen, after 2.5 days of torturous rallying. This team really is world-class.
And we're getting set for a start. As John Smales pointed out, Corolla withdrew from the World Championship with its World Rally car. So those that remain competing in championships like the Australian Series and other privateer efforts are not enjoying the support that they would have had a couple of years back. Getting set for a start now as Bates and Taylor are about to put a full stop on Telstra Rally Australia. They are away, the Australian champions from 93, 94, 95, and they've given Possum Bourne a massive battle for the past 4 seasons, but have just not quite been able to overhaul the Subaru with, as I mentioned, possibly better factory support from the World Championship team.
One of the big stories here today, Bill, is tyre choice. The World Rally Championship regulations now restrict tyre choice to fewer tyres and fewer compounds and fewer constructions than they had before, but they're still bulletproof tyres. Michelin have given Neil Bates for this rally some of their works loose tyres, and Neil is now able to charge even harder, knowing that a puncture is very, very unlikely.
8th here in 1997, had a massive crash in 1998. Very, very ugly. We caught it on the helicopter, diving into the pine trees on one of the early stages of Telstra Rally Australia. Not much luck last year either, but so far so good for Neil Bates. He's 0.25 inside the previous best time on the first split.
Bates was 10th in this rally, but he was leading Didier Auriol at the morning start this morning. Auriol just charged and went straight through Bates to the point that he's now a full minute ahead. That's the difference between World Rally cars and the Australian cars. But here comes now Bates down over the jump. Bates has done sensationally in this rally, and he's taking it conservatively.
Yeah, it looks that way on that second jump, and they're struggling with the big one down there towards the bottom. We're heading through the water now. We're going right through the middle, but not too much depth there. And struggling through the mud as he overcooks that one and would have lost time. That may have cancelled out the time he made up on the earlier split. We're about to find out. Neil Bates still quickest by 0.15 of a second, so he lost a tenth on the second half of this stage at Satiko. But that's good enough to hold his imperious position in Telstra Rally Australia. 11th overall from Katsu Taguchi. Didier Auriol, as John said, is streets away from him. Barry Sheen.
Yeah, good run, Neil, quickest.
Yeah, it was a bit messy through the water splash, but apart from that, it was all right.
Got rid of your understeer now?
No. We've actually got it better, but it's still not perfect, but, you know, that was actually a good run besides the water splash. Buggered it up big time.
Well done, Ace.
Thank you.
Bates and Taylor complete their rally for 2000. Tremendous effort from them. So far, quickest, and we'll be back after the break with Didier Auriol of France, former world champion. Stay with us. This is Telstra Rally Australia, and we are now down to Didier Auriol, the world champion in 1994, co-driver Dennis Girardet, and a rough trot he's had in the past couple of seasons after Toyota folded its World Championship World Rally Car bid. Didier was left without a drive, picked up the drive at Sayat, and now they have folded their World Championship bid. So this veteran and his co-driver are looking at their options for 2001. Could well be Peugeot, that's the rumour, and of course it's a nice fit with the French Marc Osler.
Yeah, quite an extraordinary situation, isn't it, Billy, for Didier Auriol, 42-year-old Frenchman from Montpellier in France, France's most successful rally driver of all time. It's just extraordinary that he is out on the driver market for 2001. He's had an extraordinary season. That third at Safari spelled pretty good things for Sayat, but ever since then, he's had 11 DNFs from 12 starts. It's been something of a disaster.
21.7 seconds behind the next driver, that is Gilles Panizzi in the Peugeot 206. So it's unlikely Didier will make that up here. However, he can conserve his place, and that is 10th in the rally overall, and a nice finish to show that he's still competitive, John, for any future employers.
He's been talking very seriously to Peugeot this weekend, and it would seem very likely that Peugeot will consider him strongly for next year.
Yeah, I'm sure if Didier goes to Peugeot, then that's going to be an incredibly strong team. 4 really quick drivers on various surfaces.
Here we go. Didier Auriol is away on the Satiko stage. He won here in 1990, one of 19 World Championship round victories. French champion way back in 1986, 4th in the World Championship in 89, 2nd in 1990, 3rd in 91, 3rd in 92, 3rd in 93, and of course won it in 94. 3rd again last year. Remarkable, consistent effort from this man, no matter what car he's been behind the wheel of. We're inside.
And we're watching Didier Auriol change gears with a little sequential gearbox mounted up on the steering wheel, like the old 3 on the tree, except this is 6-speed high ECU activity, instant gear changes.
Dennis Girardet there instructing Didier Auriol.
Gauche sur attention, droite 5 à voir, rail, ne pas glisser. Gauche sur attention, droite 5 à voir, rail, ne pas glisser.
They rolled earlier this year, incidentally, and Denny Girardet was picked up on the microphone, saying "Je t'aime Marie, je t'aime Marie, I love you, wife," his wife.
Sur léger droite à fond, sur bosse, sur gauche à fond, frein bosse. 40 mètres gauche pour plus, attention derrière, sur attention.
Down the hill goes Didier, inside that split. We're back inside through the water.
Droite à fond, bout. Léger gauche. Une 36, une 37.
Through the flying finish, and I thought they would have sounded happy with that, considering they've beaten the previous best by nearly 5 seconds. Remarkable run from the Sayat, and a great finish to Didier Auriol's Telstra Rally Australia. let's hope the Peugeot deal goes through. As Derek Ring has said, what an awesome combination that would be. Dennis's team with Didier for a long time now. Here's Barry Sheen.
Wow, Didier, that was fantastic. Nearly 5 seconds quicker.
Okay, but you know, I drive nicely, and the another, I think, behind must be faster, otherwise they fight like hell.
Yeah. Incredible shots from inside your car here.
It was okay. In the right corner, you mean? Yeah, yes, you have a cut a little bit, and it was and a little bit on the left, but okay. Nothing special.
Incredible. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, he's won a couple of stages already in Telstra Rally Australia. He just might win this one to cap what would be a very fine achievement in the car that's, we'll say it hasn't been too happy with it because they're pulling out next year. So obviously it's not been as competitive as they'd hoped. Now, Gilles and Panizzi, they've won the last 2 rallies in the World Championship, but we should point out, of course, they are not loose gravel specialists. They've still done pretty well to be 9th in Telstra Rally Australia as they take off on the final stage.
Yes, that's right. They've won the last 2 rallies. Delecour, their teammate, has been 2nd, and at the end of this year, if Gronholm wins this championship, he'll have to thank those boys quite a lot. They have, by doing that, denied people like Carlos and Richard and so on the points that would have made the championship so much more open at this point.
They say that Panizzi is not a gravel expert, that he is a tar specialist. But just look how well he's handling this Peugeot 206 around this very tight course. Did you see the can cut earlier? He cut so close in to the apex of the corner, coming up the hill.
Yes, 21 points he's picked up in this championship for 6th overall, and of course 20 of those with those 2 victories. 2 World Championship round wins in 20 starts overall, so he's a relative newcomer to the World Championship and already inside Didier Auriol's time. They're sweeping the roads very effectively for the drivers at this point in the stage. Nearly a second quicker again. It's his first start here too in Telstra Rally Australia, and as Derek pointed out, this section of the road has belonged to other stages as well, so it's not unfamiliar to the drivers, and of course they had the recce earlier this week.
Now let's see how strong the Peugeot is as it comes over the jumps. Very, very powerful front suspension and rear suspension units on these cars, so the drivers can afford to punish them.
We've seen the Peugeot looking very good at Langley Park as well, with a big and fast jump. Just bogs it down a little bit as he understeers out of that final corner. Gilles Panizzi. And in the end, yes, loses time on that second section. So as we pointed out earlier, remember, Panizzi was inside the time on the split, lost a lot of time coming back to be 1.16 seconds slower. Now remember that there's 0.9 of a second between Burns and Gronholm up the top of the order. So there is a lot of time that can still be lost and a lot of championship points right here in this live final stage of Telstra Rally Australia. Barry Sheen.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to undo his... There's something sounding terrible with the motor. I don't know what all the noise was. Gilles, do you have it sounded terrible. Do you have some problem?
Yes, I think we have the problem with the gearbox.
Because you were fastest on the first section before at the split, and then you lost time on the second.
Yes, but in the middle of the stage, I lose the speed, and in the end, I have no speed here.
Yeah, I can hear it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That sounded really terrible, that thing. It sounded like a box of nuts and bolts.
That explains the loss of time on that last section of this stage in Telstra Rally Australia. On the start line now, we're getting down to business with Possum Bourne. This has been a terrific run. Gee, he performs well at this rally, John.
He does indeed, although last year, of course, he stopped on stage 2 and joined us in the central commentary position for this stage. So this is an opportunity for Possum to pay back out here on the circuit. He is in 8th place in the World Rally Championship, Telstra Rally Australia. He is battling, however, for points for the Australian Manufacturers Championship. In less than 2 kilometres, he will give Subaru the Australian Manufacturers Championship for year 2000. The championship last year, of course, resting with Mitsubishi when they picked it up from Subaru when Possum couldn't complete this event.
Possum's had a marvellous career with Subaru. Back in 1988, he was 2nd in Telstra Rally Australia behind Inga and Pearl Carlson in a Mazda, but he was driving the Subaru RX Turbo Now, Panizzi's car has to be pushed out of the way, of course, as Possum gets going on this stage, because he'll be flying through that finish. And at the moment, he's just a shade outside, 0.3 almost outside the previous best time, which is still held by Didier Auriol as he gets well into that really loose stuff on the outside of that curve.
This has been a sensational rally, both from Possum Bourne and from Neil Bates. The two Australians have done this country proud, mixing it with the best of the internationals, and in fact splitting many of the international teams. Huge jump from Possum Bourne, and again, the man is on fire down through here. He's been holding off all of the rally because of this manufacturer's points, and now Possum Bourne wants to give it a go.
Gets out of the mud fairly smoothly there with four-wheel drive. He's 1.44, 1 minute 44 seconds behind Gardemeister. His position is secure, and he in end loses time on the second part of that stage to be third fastest so far. So they are having trouble literally coming to grips with that touch of water at the bottom of this Satico stage here. But he's 8th overall and will hold that position for Telstra Rally Australia. Congratulations to Possum Bourne. Barry Sheen.
Yeah, good run, Possum. Third quickest.
Spot on.
Nice and smooth and keeping us safe.
Oh, yeah, you know, manufacturers championship in Australia is the most important thing for us and our boys, so had to do the job. Today was a bit like that, you know, not quite flat out, just look after the car, get it home, do the job.
Well done.
Thank you.
Great character, Possum Bourne. Lining up now as Possum clears the area is Toni Gardemeister, another of the Sayets, Mark Osler.
The young Finn has been in front of his more experienced teammate Didier Auriol throughout the event, and really is up for question what this young man is going to be doing next year. But he's been most impressive in Rally Australia 2000, and when his Sayet drive dries up at the end of this season, I wonder if one of the manufacturers is going to grab him, at least for a limited program. You'd certainly think so, because he looks like a star of the future. 3
World Championship points. His teammate or co-driver is Tapio Laukkanen, also a Finnish driver. No wins in 30 World Championship starts, but he's only 25 years of age, and as Mark said, a great talent. As he gets underway, he trails Laukkanen by 17 points overall. This is the battle for 7th and 6th. I don't think he'll make it up on this stage, John Smales.
Well, in fact, he was in the points until the points of this rally until only 2 stages ago, when Tapio Laukkanen in the Ford, in fact, overtook him. So, so close from Gardemeister. So Gardemeister's been forced back 1 position and out of the points, and that's very disappointing for him. But he is really working hard to make it up here, Derek.
Yes, a couple of seasons ago he was doing some British Championship events. Now he's got a big programme in the World Championship. As we've said, we don't quite know where he's going next year, but he's certainly come on a long way. Those 30-odd World Championship rallies have just matured him incredibly. You can see at the moment how clean the line's getting for the last few runners. But the very important thing you might notice is just how drivers get out of that Ford, how they get through that water and how much speed they can carry up the hill to the finish. I think that's going to decide what happens between Barnes and Gronholm.
Well, in fact, while he looks fast, he's 4th fastest at the Michelin halfway point, behind even Possum Bourne. When I say even Possum Bourne, behind Possum as well. And takes a much wider line there to try and keep the car a little bit more settled. Didn't work for him, though.
Yes, he was nearly a second behind on the split time as we see him hit the water hard and not too sideways out of that curve, so he may have made up a little bit of time. In fact, as we cross the line, no, he's lost it. So that second part of the stage is really proving costly for these drivers now. 4th fastest overall, though. Gardemeister guards 7th place, Barry Sheen.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of people over the weekend, and the hot rumour is that he's signed for Ford for next year alongside Saints and Colin McRae. Good run?
No, too wide. Only I can spend only too much show, I think.
Hey, look good.
Nah, thanks.
Have you signed for Ford for next year? You're smiling.
No, nothing at the moment.
Okay, best of luck.
Okay, thanks.
Barry lays it on the line in this very sensitive world of international motorsport. He wasn't pulling any punches, but Tony was being very guarded there. Now, Tapio Laukkanen, the last of the only Ford left in this rally after the incredible dismissal of Carlos Sainz and, of course, mechanical failure for Colin McRae. He's done extremely well, 6th fastest in the rally overall. He trails 5th place Kenneth Eriksson by 21.3 seconds, so he's not not really threatening Eriksson, I'd say, on this stage, but a great performance from he and his co-driver, Kaj Lindström, and once again an all-finished team as we get ready for the start.
The point is, however, he can score at least one valuable point for Ford in the Manufacturers' Championship, and when we get to the Network Q Rally of Great Britain, maybe, just maybe, that could make some difference. Who knows?
Yes, they trail Subaru by 2. Derek Ringer, it's been a mixed year for Ford. We've seen Colin and Carlos, the two major Ford drivers, wrestling with reliability early on, and then they hit a purple patch, and of course were championship contenders going into this round.
Yes, not only for Ford, but for all the other teams. It's not so long ago, just the start of the year, when people were saying how boring this is. Here goes Tommy winning Monte Carlo Rally. It looks like he's going to win the championship. And then they just went downhill in the middle of the year. Ford had a period of some dominance for about 3 rallies. Subaru as well, they lost it, but the team that really seems to have got their act together, management, drivers, the whole development's Peugeot, and they look really strong for the future.
Well, we'll see that in action pretty shortly, because Delecour is up soon, and so is Marcus Gronholm in the thick of the action here all the way in Telstra Rally Australia. Panizzi we have already seen. The reliability factor is evident by the fact that those 3 drivers are in the top 10, and now we ride the jumps.
Laukkanen second fastest at the halfway point, behind only Gilles Panizzi. So far, no one really attacking that jump the way Colin McRae used to, Derek.
Well, you might see a little bit of difference in a couple of cars' time when the World Championship's on the line. Tapio's driven really well in this event. He's one of these drivers. He's lots of talent, but it doesn't always add up to results, but he should be pleased with this run.
Second fastest, 0.4 of a second behind, but the times we've seen so far, gentlemen, have showed us that there is considerable leeway in this stage, and when you have 0.9 of a second between those 2 contenders later on, that is more than easily lost or gained. Let's hear from Barry Sheen.
Yeah, Tapio, good run, second fastest.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Obviously, for us there wasn't any point to try to do anything stupid, so just try to finish the stage and be on a 6th position.
Great, well done.
Yeah, it was good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Tapio Laukkanen, Ford, making its presence felt here at Telstra Rally Australia. After the break, we'll have the Hyundai of Kenneth Eriksson, and then, of course, that amazing championship battle. Welcome back to the final stage of Telstra Rally Australia. Kenneth Eriksson won this rally in 1995 by 18 seconds from Colin McRae and Derek Ringer. And I heard Colin say after that rally that he thought if the pace notes had been a bit better, they might have made up those 18 seconds, but I don't know, Derek.
Yeah, that was one of those rallies where we actually just backed off and got the points.
Here's Mark Osler.
Wonderfully experienced crew of Parmander and Eriksson. They've done a tremendous job in this rally in the Hyundai. It equals their best performance so far in the 2000 World Rally Championship, which was 5th in New Zealand. And keep in mind, this car is only in its early stages of development. It's not a full active car. It doesn't have the electro-hydraulic gear shifts. There's a lot of development to come for the Korean manufacturer. They should be a force in 2001.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Mark. This car is really coming along in leaps and bounds. Eriksson won a couple of stages here at Telstra Rally Australia, mind you, in circumstances which weren't necessarily kosher as the teams backed off. But nonetheless, it gives Hyundai a very, very good feeling for the 2001 season.
He can go. He's had 6 wins and 114 starts, Kenneth Eriksson. Won here in 1995 to go along with that World Championship. He was also Asia Pacific champion that year, and in 1996 and in 1997. 42 years of age. His first World Championship rally was back in 1980 in Sweden, where he finished 51st in a Saab. 9, 8, 7, counting down to Kenneth Eriksson's final say in Telstra Rally Australia. He is off the line, the Swede, and he's flying the flag for Hyundai after terrible luck to Michael Guest, the Australian, earlier than that, Alistair McRae. They brought 3 cars to Australia, and this one is still going.
Time to beat at the Michelin midway point is 49.23. That's Gilles Panizzi.
Inside 20, vänster 5, 70. Vänster 5 plus till krön bräck 10, vänster 3 minus. Halvlång 50. Höger 5 kort 50. Höger 4 halvlång 350.
Listening to Stefan Permander there, co-driver for Kenneth Eriksson. We're riding in Swedish.
Höger 1 med spår, not outside end. 40. Till krön 60. Vänster 5 till krön 20. Höger 5 minus kort. Till vänster 5 till step.
And a good shot there too, John and Derek, of the deep ruts on this road down the hill, particularly on that tight right-hander up the top of the hill.
Yeah, I think it's what we've been talking about. The first few cars clean the road, then for another couple you've got almost perfect conditions and it starts to deteriorate. So for the last couple of cars, they won't have the optimum conditions.
Which of course impacts very strongly on what we're about to see, which is the rally for first position.
The Hyundai Accent flies through the finish line, fourth fastest so far, 1.5 seconds lost, you might say, on that stage by Kenneth Eriksson to the fastest time. So once again, we see that this could be a decisive stage for Burns and Gronholm, who are so close, and they are not far away either. Francois Delecour, the next driver, but hopefully in a moment we'll hear from Kenneth Eriksson, who gave me the ride of my life at Langley Park here a couple of years ago. An extraordinary driver with lots of experience. Here's Barry.
Yeah, good run, Kenneth, fourth position.
Yeah, very good for us. I'm very pleased. I mean, first year with the car, and we're here mainly to learn this year, so it's looking very good for the future for this car. It has a lot of potential.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, the man whose name sounds fast, Francois Delecour, fourth fastest overall in Telstra Rally Australia. He trails third-placed Richard Burns by 1 minute and 22.9 seconds, and he is clearly ahead of Kenneth Eriksson. But it is great to see these Peugeots still going strong at the end of all this rallying, Derek Ringer.
Yeah, it's been an excellent performance, all three cars getting there. Delecour and Panizzi, well, there's no love lost between those two.
Oh, he stole it!
No!
He stole it! Tried to launch the car and it didn't happen. Lost time.
Well, there you go, Derek. Once again, another way of losing time here on this tricky stage.
Yeah, I think that wasn't deliberate. As I was saying, there's no love lost between him and Panizzi, and I think the Peugeot management have had to work very hard on some occasions just to keep everything sweet, but it's worked for them.
Well, we should point out, John, that on that very, very dramatic previous round, there were all sorts of accusations flying about Panizzi and Delecour. We should explain why there's some bad blood between them. There was claims that some of the drivers had a good look at the World Championship Rally circuit before that the recce had been made. Of course, Derek, you should explain that you're not allowed to have too good a look at the circuit before you go on it.
In fact, it was quite incredible, wasn't it, to realise that one team member would in fact dob the other team member in. It seemed really strange.
Yes, I must just put it down to their particular Gallic player, but you're right, there was some accusations, and it's always unpleasant when that happens. At the end of the day, they did manage to win the rally, but there was a lot of upset people.
Look at the air.
Delecour in the air.
Oh, that's the least composed I've seen the Peugeot over the jump so far in this rally. Almost rolled it there, I'd say, if he had have kept going sideways. But this car has sat on the road exceptionally well in all kinds of conditions so far this weekend. So Delecour, far from smooth there, and that, the time, tells the story. Ninth fastest so far. He had plenty of time up his sleeve, but nevertheless, Francois, who was most unhappy after having a good run at Langley Park, how will he be now, Barry Sheen?
Well, I was just thinking exactly the same thing, Billy. It was miserable after a good run. What he's going to be like now, God only knows. Let's have a little go here. Francois. Very, very bad luck, stall the engine. Maybe. I don't think we're going to get a lot here, actually, Bill.
It was worth a try, Barry.
Yeah, really. I was going to say the other night, Looks like someone looked like he'd lost a fire and found a penny, but there you go.
No doubt, and that car was well out of shape in the air, Derek. If he had hit something a little more forgiving, or less forgiving, I should say, than the loose gravel here, it might have been a problem.
Yeah, he's obviously just taken that jump with the wrong amount of lock on. It's landed badly, and he's very lucky to get away with that now. The first three coming here, and if one of them does that, then that could be the championship chances going.
Now we get down to business.
This is the battle. This is Richard Burns in the Subaru. He is only 0.9 of a second behind Marcus Gronholm, the World Rally Championship leader. Can he make up 0.9 of a second around 2.7 kilometres?
Burns is sitting on 4 points here in third position. If he gets to second, he'll be on 6 points. Precious points. He trails Gronholm by 5 overall. Let's listen in.
Cut. 30, flat left, 80. Crest to fast left long and fast left tightens maybe.
This is Robert Reid.
Slow flat right and slow flat right 30. Flat right in. 300. Turn 90 right slow. Loose. 80. K right minus tightens. Cut. Big ruts. 50. Slight left. 70. Slight left to slight left 30. Slight left on long.
Well, as you can see, the loose stuff completely clouded the screen. Here we go.
20, big jump. 40, rightish, big jump. 20, left max, big jump. 60 braking, flat left to flat left, that easy right into deep water, and 90 left plus. Slippy to medium right, minus, and K right plus. 40, flat right on big jump to flat left bank, 120. Stop.
And quickest so far by 1.47 seconds, 1:35.62. We'll note that time because the next driver, Marcus Gronholm, needs to be within 0.9 of a second, 0.8 we should say to be safe, to hold second place in this rally. Who would have thought that the rally, the championship positions, would all come down to this tricky little stage? Barry Sheen.
Yeah, fantastic. 1.4 quicker than anyone.
Okay, well, I have to give it everything because it's the only chance to get in front of Marcus.
Well, it looked great.
Thank you.
Over to you, Mark.
Tense moment, isn't it, Baz? Not surprising. This man, Marcus Gronholm, I spoke to him earlier in the week. The 32-year-old Finlander said, I didn't expect to be in World Championship contention by the end of this year. And who could blame him? The Peugeot 206 only in a relatively early stage of its development, but Gronholm has been a sensation this year. 3 times first, Sweden, New Zealand and Finland. He's also finished second at Portugal and Argentina. He's taken the battle right up to the established World Rally Championship stars, and this man is running hot.
2 points. That's what we're in for here, and less than a second. Marcus Gronholm, Timo Rautiainen, his co-driver, as we count down to the start of this stage. 3 wins in 42 World Rally Championship rounds. 5th here last year. Let's listen in. Timo Rautiainen riding with Marcus Gronholm, the championship leader.
He needs a 1:36.5 to beat Richard Burns.
Oikein eri kirraa ja vasen täys. 120. Vasen 100. Oikein täys. Jatkuu oikein pitkä eri jouheen risteys. Meni. Pitkä nyppy täys. 120. Oikein hidas, ahdas risteys.
Will his championship lead go to 7? Will it be cut to 3? At the moment, he's looking good.
48.62, that's sensational. Remember that Burns was 49.26.
Vasen täys ja vasen pitkä eri helppo yli nypyn sumppuun.
Lots of time can be lost here now.
Vasen eri jouhe yli nypyn hyppää not.
How composed will this Peugeot be?
Hyppää. Ja vasen eri helppo yli nypyn hyppää. 8 vasen eri. Ja oikealle vettä vasen hidas sumppu. Ja mutaa.
The water. Can they get through it cleanly? Can they maintain second place and the championship lead? Marcus Gronholm here. What is it worth to him? It's worth 2 championship points. He maintains the championship lead. In fact, increases it over Richard Burns to 7 with the fastest time by nearly 2 seconds.
What a sensational run. His line through the water was just absolutely perfect. Out wide, cut right across it.
Well, they are from Finland.
1.8 seconds quicker. Oh, yeah.
I was trying, yes.
Yeah. Oh. I know, we could see that.
Oh.
You could say it's helvete hyvä.
Helvete hyvä, yes, good.
Yeah, that was quite amazing, Marcus. Very well done.
Well, Marcus and Timo right there on that one stage. Here we go.
Comes down to this man, Tommi Makinen. You don't become a 4-time world champion, and I say 4 times in succession, by being a driver who gives up easily. A tremendously talented driver, the Finn. Who would have thought he'd be in contention? Still hanging on by his fingernails in this championship in a car, a Group A car, now considered to be becoming uncompetitive against the latest in World Rally Championship machinery. Tommi Makinen, he's got a lead of 7.8 seconds. All he has to do is play it cool. The rally's his.
So a rally victory, but of course Gronholm and Burns finishing prominently has counted Tommy out for the championship now, but he can still have a big say here as he gets away from the line beautifully at Satiko. The man who's won this rally twice, the last 4 world championships. His previous win here was with Risto Madison back in 1998. Of course, driving for Mitsubishi. So, we're listening in here. And the early bumps there, of course, have knocked that camera a little bit out of focus. He's 5th in the championship, 32 points. Risto co-driving again. Risto's been with him for 3 years, replacing Seppo Harian, but he co-drove for Tommy 10 years ago, would you believe, in the Thousand Lakes Rally. So he's come back and he's enjoyed great success with him.
Coming up to the halfway point, we don't expect this to be as fast, and it isn't. It's a 49.20. The driver of the day obviously was Marcus Gronholm, but Tommy has to get to the finish to win this round and therefore make his point.
Conservative, but let's listen in. Down the hill they go. Tommi Makinen, 4-time world champion, lots of air, just left the road a little bit there, a little bit sideways mid-air.
Ja oikein nopea plus. 2. Nyt oikealle
Gets
Eriksson.
through the water, okay.
3.
So we've heard the finish at the finish. 3rd fastest today, but enough to win Telstra Rally Australia. Tommi Makinen may have lost his grip on this massive reign at the World Championship, but nevertheless, he has stated that he is still a force to be reckoned with, and in 2001 he'll be back as strong as ever. Barry Sheen.
Yeah. Well done, Tommy. Thank you very much. Third time, fantastic.
Yeah, it's incredible feeling, but it's a long time from last win, and finally I didn't even remember how it is after the winning something. It's incredible nice feeling.
And really nice to get 10 points for the manufacturers.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if there's anything to. If it does help anymore. We are unfortunately a bit far behind, but at least good result here and good memories for the next year, and I'm sure that it's much easier for the future.
And what about the last one in England? Do you think it's possible?
That is. I'm sure it should be good. It is. I have a good confidence for the car at the moment, and we made some work with suspension, and it feels good, especially for slippy condition. And normally in UK it's quite muddy and rainy, and that's why I feel very confident at the moment.
Thanks a lot, Tommy.
Thanks.
It is strange, yes, as Tommy mentioned, to see him go so long without consecutive rally victories. He won in the very first round at Monte Carlo this year, and everyone thought, well, maybe he's going to take number 5. After that, of course, Richard Burns took hold, and then Gronholm, and Tommy has had to wait till round 13 of 14 to score a victory again. The championship is now sadly out of his grasp, but it's still very much alive between Gronholm and Burns going into the final round. Tommy's done all he could do. He had to win both of the last 2 rounds to give himself any chance of making up that 17-point deficit, John. He's certainly done the first part of that, but unfortunately for him, Gronholm and Burns were right behind him.
Yeah, Gronholm now moves to 54 points in the championship, which of course puts him now ahead of Tommy's theoretical maximum, even if he was to win in Great Britain. But it's been a sensational run from Tommy. You'd have to say he's been the most focused driver on the course this weekend.
Now here are our stage results, and that's where Gronholm did it. So important that just a couple of kilometres and a minute and a half's driving has given Marcus Gronholm a firm hold on the World Championship. It's still not his. Richard Burns can easily take it in the final round, a round he won last year. So there's plenty of excitement still left in the World Championship. Possum Bourne, 8th fastest. Great result for him. Likewise, Neil Bates, and they've finished in the top 10 overall. Katsu Taguchi and Delecour making up that group of the top 12. And Gustavo Trellis, a conservative drive from him. He didn't have to be so fast in this stage. He's done what he had to do in terms of his World Championship bid. We're back at Telstra Rally Australia, and we are now moving down to the podium position where very soon we'll have Tommi Makinen celebrating a rally victory. But the championship, well, that's a different story entirely. Just recapping, Marcus Gronholm has extended his lead over Richard Burns, but he has by no means secured the World Championship here. 7 points between them, and therefore we go to the final round in Great Britain with the remarkable opportunity of Richard Burns to take a rally victory and perhaps take a championship victory as well. It's certainly happened before. We've seen so much attrition this year in the World Rally Championship in all kinds of events, over all kinds of stages, on all kinds of surfaces. So it's quite possible that Burns could turn everything around and defeat Gronholm. Gronholm may not finish the last rally, and therefore the title could be Burns. Greg Must has been chatting with a man who's performed exceptionally well this weekend. We're very proud of his efforts. Possum Bourne.
Well, it's been a remarkable weekend for the Australasian contingent here at Telstra Rally Australia, and the top Aussie, if you like, he's a token Aussie these days, is Possum Bourne, mate. Fantastic effort, well done.
Thanks very much. It was a spot-on weekend for us. We're just so happy. All the team have worked well, everything's gone spot-on.
Craig, for you, as his co-driver, it's been a terrific year. The championship, the Australian Championship, now the manufacturer's title sealed here as well.
Yeah, well, it's been great for me to be part of finishing off the manufacturer's championship with Possum and Team Subaru, so it's been a great weekend, yes.
What lies ahead for the both of you for 2001?
Well, I got some big plans. I'd like to do the Asia Pacific Championship again, as well as the Australian Championship, and we want to take Cody with us up there and get him some more grounding. So we got lots of plans and lots of funds to find. That's the main thing at the moment. But I think we should be able to do that. It's a lot of dough, but there's people getting behind the whole project now, and hopefully we can make it work for us.
Craig, your thoughts on the event this weekend, in particular the new design of the Langley Park Special Stage?
It was a lot of fun. You know, it's great for the spectators, and it was a good track for us because we won, 3 wins. So we're real happy with it. We think it's a great track.
Good on you, boys. Congratulations. A great weekend and a great year in 2000 for the both of you.
It's been just the best year you could possibly dream about.
Possum Bourne and Craig Vincent always in great spirits, but I tell you what, the pressure that must have been on Marcus Gronholm under these circumstances, he proved he's a real talent.
But he's a really cool customer as well. I mean, he's sort of laughing and joking and that, and he's quite unfinished in that way, because normally Finnish people are quite reserved, aren't they? And he's good, obviously. I mean, he's going to be definitely one of the men to beat next year, no doubt about it.
I've been really impressed with his handlers. They've worked so hard to keep the pressure off him this weekend. I've never seen a man under those circumstances be so well looked after by his team.
Well, I was going to say, you'd have to say he was out-calling Richard Burns. You know, Richard was definitely getting wound up, you can see that.
I mentioned earlier, mid-season, other drivers were saying, and this is not just pie-in-the-sky stuff, the drivers were saying they thought the Subaru was just too quick. Richard was, of course, a very capable driver, and they did not really think they could nail him, but Peugeot have done the job as well as Marcus in terms of this championship, setting up what should be a victory in the final round, but we'll hold our judgments on that.
Well, you imagine how good Peugeot feel. They come into rallying for the first year, hoping to maybe finish in the first three or maybe get a win. After their baptism of fire in the Formula One, it must seem like heaven for them.
Yes, there's that to it. They are doing a spectacular job here. Marcus, of course, now has to finish third or better at the Rally of Great Britain if Richard Burns wins. So that's the way it works out. So the pressure is off Gronholm to that degree.
And of course, staying on the track for any of these rallies, let alone the Rally of Great Britain, has got to be a major thing on Marcus Gronholm's mind when we get to the final round. But Neil Bates, well, he's given himself a good platform for the 2001 domestic season after a great performance here, and he's with Greg Rust.
Well, at the beginning of Telstra Rally Australia, Neil Bates set himself a fairly big goal, and that was to finish in the top 10. And Neil, you've achieved it. Congratulations, a great result.
Yeah, we're very happy. Although it was the very last stage where we got 10th. Gilles Panizzi was in front of us, but he had problems with his car in the last stage. And as they say, it's never over until it's over.
When you look back at Telstra Rally, or your Telstra Rally Australia campaign for season 2000, it's just been a pretty methodical approach, it seems.
Yeah, like basically we did some quick times at the start of day one, but then we had a few suspension problems and we got in a position where we couldn't fight anymore, and you know, we didn't finish last year, so it was quite important for us to finish, and we've done that and achieved our goal, so we're pretty happy.
You're a three-time winner of the Australian Rally Championship, but it's been a long time between drinks for you. That fella Possum Bourne's been on top for a while. What can you do next year in terms of knocking him off the perch?
I've been speaking to customs, actually. I've been left there some of his passport and not let him back in. But yeah, he's done a great job over the last few years, and we're just got to work a little harder. You know, obviously this year was very disappointing in Tasmania. We were even on points going into that, and I had an accident in testing and damaged the car quite badly, so we'll have to work a bit harder next year and see if we can do it.
Well, at least this is a nice way to end the year for you. Well done, champion.
Thank you.
Well, it's pleasing to see that in the middle of this amazing championship battle, the Australians and New Zealanders, of course, referring to Possum Bourne, the Australian champion, but New Zealand born and bred, are doing very, very well. We'll be back after the break with the presentation ceremony here at Telstra Rally Australia. Rally Australia. We've seen a remarkable battle for the championship unfolding here over 21 stages, and now very shortly we'll see the presentation where Tommi Makinen, who's waited a long time for his second rally win this year, is going to really savour the moment. He cannot win the championship, but he at least can celebrate for the third time here in the forests of Perth. Greg Rust.
Thanks very much, Woodsy, and I'm up here on the podium with the Minister for Tourism here in Western Australia, Norman Moore, and I tell you what, it's been a great weekend here, hasn't it?
Fantastic indeed. We're really delighted the way the whole thing's worked out. It's been a fantastic event. The weather's been great, great competition, really good for Western Australia as well.
A marvellous crowd turnout here at the Satiko final stage.
Marvellous indeed. In fact, the whole week has been just a real buzz in Perth and around the southwest area, and the great crowd out here today is, I guess, on top of the crowds at Langley Park. It's just been wonderful.
Must be great for you and for the state when you consider it's the penultimate round of the championship, and we had a whole host of guys vying for the championship here.
And also the best in the world, of course. We're pretty proud of our record in respect to how we run events in Western Australia, particularly this rally. And so, you know, it's just been really quite marvellous indeed.
Well, Norman, the state should be congratulated. Well done.
Thank you very much indeed. Good. Thank you.
Well, certainly Perth can be proud of the efforts they've put in this year, Barry. I mean, it's a wonderfully organised rally. We've seen modifications to the Langley Park Super Special stage, and as we mentioned earlier in the program, modifications to some of the forest stages, but it's all been greatly successful and well supported too.
I can't believe how well supported it is. When you think most of the people that were at Langley Park last night and the night before had never been to a rally before, and if you see how many people have driven out here today, I've seen more police in Western Australia than anywhere else in the whole world, by the way. It's fantastic. I mean, it's so well supported, and they do a really brilliant job of it over here.
John, once again, the drivers are fairly happy. Their tactical decisions and the controversy this week had nothing to do with the actual organisation of the rally, of course.
No, it didn't, but the strategies that were employed this weekend will set rallying on its ear, Bill. You can say for sure that there will be ramifications from this rally going down a long time to come. In Tommi Makinen's case, of course, the tactic he employed last night by pausing at the start of the last stage in the forest yesterday certainly set him up for the win today. It put him in the right position on the road. When Richard Burns tried to respond this morning to put himself back in a position on the road, in fact, all he did was fired up Tommi, and Tommi went for broke. And I reckon that's what won Tommi the rally.
It was very pleasing to see the performance of Possum Bourne, of course. We heard from him just a moment ago, but what a great champion he is. And I've asked him this before, but it's probably disappointing in a sense that he hasn't had the opportunity to drive a World Rally car more often against these top-line drivers.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, 8th place in this event is just absolutely sensational. Neil Bates, 11th in this event. Both drivers, considering that there were 17 internationals in the field, can be very proud of that effort. And it's not just been attrition. They were mixing it with the best drivers and the best teams that have ever been on a rally circuit.
And it's not just the fact that it's local knowledge either, because due to the rules of World Rally, they have the same recce as everybody else. They have to police the stages as well. And a lot of these top-line drivers have driven these circuits as much as Possum and Neil have.
I tell you what, that run of Gronholm's was totally amazing. That last, I don't keep on about it, but it was very, very hot stuff. You know, to be, what, 1.8 seconds quicker. Quite incredible.
Yeah, we're looking at some action now from Gronholm's amazing run, I believe. And a tremendous talent he is, and I've got a feeling if he nails this World Championship he may go on to get a few more, although there are plenty of other young drivers coming out of the woodwork.
It's hard to say, however, that you wouldn't still give the World Championships to what they call the Finnish Mafia. They are just so good. I mean, even this weekend, it's just been wonderful to see the way that Marcus has revered Tommy, but Tommy in turn has reckoned that Marcos is the heir apparent.
It's amazing, and you discussed this with Juha, just how good the Finnish drivers are, and Juha explained that there are a lot of dirt roads in Finland.
I just think that it's so nice the way all the Finnish drivers, they're very, very patriotic, they all stick with each other, they really help each other, and Juha Kankinen helped Tommi Makinen a hell of a lot when he started. So I just think it's really good, you know, it's only a small country, what, 5 million people or something, but it's a great place. If you get a chance to go there, you should go there.
They produced the odd Formula One world champion as well, of course.
Well, indeed, yeah.
Great rally supporters, the Finns, and we're now having a look again at Marcus Gronholm. We've got Solberg coming through, of course, and the Estonian Martin, who is a big talent too, John.
Petter Solberg took 2 stage victories on day 1 here. It was unbelievable that a young fellow like that, in his first look at Rally Australia, could do that against the best in the world. Now, okay, the others were playing a bit of tactics, but Petter Solberg was on fire, and he was so happy when he did it. He said it was like being in a helicopter. I put the helicopter up and I flew for a stage.
And this stage itself has played a great role in the outcome of this rally. It's so short, and Carlos quite rightly referred to it as a Mickey Mouse stage in the sense that quite often the rally is long decided before they get to such a brief interlude, you might say, but in terms of this rally, it's been decisive.
Well, it's amazing when you consider what a competitor Burns he is and what a trier he is. For Gronholm to go 1.8 seconds quicker, that's a big flies.
The flies have actually, but just shows how intense. This rally's so intense, even the flies have swarmed down among the spectators to get a look at the 3 cars as they come onto the podium now. Third place, of course, has been Richard Burns, a great bid in that final stage to try and knock off Marcus Gronholm, but it wasn't to be.
Bill, it has to be said as well that we're looking at the future of rallying in stages like the television stage, the Statico television stage we saw today. As rallying becomes more contemporary and it becomes more user-friendly for the general public, we're going to see much more of that, and those sort of stages will in future, in fact, decide World Championships.
I wonder how Richard's feeling right now, trailing by 7 points in the World Championship instead of 5. He's a little worse off, and mid-year it looked like he was just going to waltz away with it.
It's never over till it's over, Phil. I mean, he could blow a gearbox up in the first stage or blow a motor up, and it's look at Colin McRae. I mean, you would have never believed that Colin would have motor would have blown up, but you just don't know. I mean, Makinen could end up winning it.
5 title contenders before this rally. Now we're down to 2, and 2 of them really through circumstances beyond their control.
But, Bill, you have to say that going to Rally of Great Britain, Richard Burns is the home favourite. He loves the roads of Wales, and if there is a home advantage, it will exist with Richard Burns in 2 weeks' time.
That's if the fuel crisis gives up.
Yes, that's
or
if
Tony
story.
Blair gives in to the fuel crisis.
Second place on the podium, of course, was Marcus Gronholm. We'll see him up there in just a moment. But Richard Burns, of course, the traditional celebration. The car still going strong. The Subaru has been such a weapon in 2000, and a great job for Peugeot to really catch up with them technically.
The story for Australians this weekend is that one of these Subarus may well be staying back for Possum Bourne. It's just on the off chance that Possum Bourne will pick up one of the WRC 2000 Subarus. Remember 2 years ago that the car he's driving this weekend was driven here by Colin McRae. So the lineage is possible.
And this is what we were talking about earlier with Neil Bates no longer getting that flow on from being from having Toyota involved in the World Championship, and Possum is getting that advantage. Neil's going to love to hear that news, John.
Well, it's a shame though, isn't it, that Neil's not getting the support because Toyota's basically out of it.
Now here's Marcus Gronholm. Has he secured the World Championship here? As Barry said, there's still a long way to go, but tremendous effort under pressure. That slender lead, 0.9 of a second, and he actually expanded it over the precious couple of kilometres here at Satico. As he sprays champagne, we take a look at how he did it.
And unless I'm very much mistaken, I think this perhaps seals the manufacturer's title, the Peugeot.
And the Peugeot, very, very good shape. In fact, all through the week, particularly at Langley Park, it was obvious how solid the Peugeot was, not only through the corners, but over the jumps, John.
I think the thing that interested me most, Bill, was while Subaru played tactics, while Mitsubishi played tactics, while Ford played tactics, Subaru, Renault, Peugeot, thank you, Peugeot went rallying, and they went rallying in style. They never tried on those tactics to any great degree. Even today, when everyone else was mucking around, and Gronholm had suddenly found himself elevated to first on the road, he shrugged his shoulders and said, okay, let's get on with it. And that's the mark of a championship team.
You're going to have a good look at that little Type 6 as a work of art. I mean, it really is. It looks like an aircraft inside there. And look at all the little things like the pedals in the car and everything, carbon fibre, and beautifully made. And they've obviously spent a lot of time and trouble, and they've spent their money wisely.
We spoke a couple of years back of the growing number of World Rally cars in the championship and the growing interest in the development of World Rally cars by various manufacturers. Sure, we've seen Toyota fall away, we've seen Seat fall away this year, but generally the flow has been mainly the other way. That is, we're seeing more manufacturers putting more top quality cars into this championship and therefore giving more drivers a seat, and it's becoming amazing.
In doing so, they're in fact creating a rally industry too, Bill, because there's a lot of second-hand, really good World Rally cars on the market, so the national championships around the world should expect to benefit from this development of rallying in the World Championship.
Tommi Makinen celebrating victory here in Telstra Rally Australia. Traditionally on the bonnet of the car, the champagne ready to spray with Risto Madison Mackie.
Rusty running out the way so he didn't get sprayed.
They love him here in Perth. 3 wins here in Telstra Rally Australia. He's been world champion 4 times. 4 times he's come here, and even when he hasn't won, he's managed to secure the World Championship along the way. It's been a good rally to him. And what a battle. He could have easily turned it up. 17 points behind Marcus Gronholm going into this event. But he did everything he had to do. Greg Rust.
Thanks very much, Woodsy. I'm up here now with Tommi Makinen. Your 3rd win at Telstra Rally Australia. Gee, you must have some very happy and fond memories here.
Yes, it is. It's an incredible feeling. It is one of the best moments for me. Last year it was nice to be here to gain title, and this year we are a bit further behind. We cannot fight anymore from title, but this was very, very important for us to thinking about the future. Next year, everything. It's good to see we have a still good competitive car. We have a chance to do whatever.
Tommy, when you look back at Telstra Rally Australia this year, I guess it perhaps may be remembered for your success here, but also for the controversy here over the tactics this weekend.
Well, it is. It was not so nice. Sometimes it was not so much anymore yesterday to do, because only 3rd car, even whichever order we could start today, I think it wouldn't change anything. It was but for the future, I think they should think about what to change.
There was a fairly major news conference held here by Mitsubishi in the lead up to this event. You've been confirmed in the driver lineup for next year, and also the introduction of a World Rally car. You've been Group A for many years now with the Lancer, but you're going WRC after the San Remo Rally next year. That's good news.
Yes, it is. I'm looking forward very much next year, and I'm sure we can make good results again.
Congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
Well, we still have a World Championship in the balance, of course, but Tommy there, and that news from Mitsubishi points to a very big future as well.
That's great. You know, he was saying this morning that we can have a really good car. It's not going to be ready until San Remo, but he's chuffed to bits to win this thing, and I know he'll definitely celebrate, because I flew to London on the same flight as him last year, and he knows how to celebrate.
So the Finns are composed, Barry, but they do cut loose when the time is right.
They know how to party, take it from me.
Bill, the point is that by not having the World Rally car ready until San Remo, what he's going to do is simultaneous development with the Group A car at the moment. So he ought to be able to segue straight across to the World Rally car and not lose any form. Normally when you develop a new car, you could expect to give that season away. In Mitsubishi's case, that's not going to be the situation.
Yeah, busy time ahead for Tommi Makinen, development as well as concentrating on regaining that world title.
There'll be a lot of development kilometres going under the belt of both Tommi Makinen and Freddie Luyks, who's also been confirmed for next year. That was a surprise to many people.
I was just about to ask you what you thought about that.
Yeah, they expected Freddie, who'd not performed well this season, in fact not performed well at all, to drop out of the team and give way to one of the young people. But in fact, Freddie has been confirmed for next year, mainly I think on the basis of his development skills. He's very, very good for the team.
They know that I can't.
And now we will have the match random for the winning manufacturer.
So the national anthems of the winning driver and manufacturer. And John, we'll just go through the championship points now, finalising that situation.
Bill, Marcus Gronholm now retains the lead in the championship on 55 points, but Richard Burns is on 48. That puts him further away, as you said, 7 points the difference. Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz didn't finish here, but they still retain equal third position on 43. And the great Tommi Makinen is now up onto 42, so he can at least challenge in the last round of the World Championship for third place, maybe second.
Those drivers are in place for next year as well, looking beyond, of course, the final round, which we've said plenty about, but also we have the new drivers coming through too. And Didier Auriol, we hope, will be in that very competitive Peugeot, so we could see even more than 5 contenders this time next year at Telstra Rally Australia.
If you saw tactics at play this time, wait till next year, because I think we'll see regularly now 3- and 4-car teams. Martin Whittaker from Ford put out a special plea for that not to occur. He wants to pull it back to 2 cars to make it something economic. But I don't think Peugeot's going to let them. They're going to have specialists virtually for every rally in the series.
An exciting prospect, Baz.
Oh, it's getting serious, there's no doubt. I'm really surprised there's not some regulation to stop what Subaru did here, actually, running the extra cars, getting the extra 2 or 3 guys in there. It's, well, we'll wait and see.
And that may come into play as FIM tries to keep a rein on those sort of tactics, but that'll need a rule change. Nevertheless, we still have exciting rallying still to come in 2000. Great stuff ahead in 2001. Don't forget, this time next week, it'll be the big one, the FAI 1000 at Bathurst on your home of motorsport. On behalf of the entire commentary team and the crew here in the forest of Western Australia, thanks for your company at Telstra Rally Australia.
easy right 30, fast right minus cut.